Since Nick Bosa went down, the 49ers pass rush has been, they've tried. We'll break down what's happening there. Plus, John Lynch spoke on the radio today. What's the status for some big names this week? Lock it in right here. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera alongside Johnny Dowd from the Johnny Dowd Football Academy. It is Thursday. Johnny, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. It has been a week. I love I don't love the short week side of Thursday Night Football. Yep. I do like the long week side. It's always like a mini little breather, a little refresher. The pace can slow down a little bit. Yeah, for those who know what it's like to try and have about 18 irons in the fire, So, yeah.
You're just like a player. You hate it on the front end. You love it on the back end. We got a lot to break down on today's show. We're going to get to some of the pass rush stuff because that's really what we want to look at on today's show. What is happening with the pass rush without Nick Bosa? But before we do that, John Lynch did appear on KMBR this morning. A while John Lynch appeared, and he gave us some updates. Brock Purdy not going to practice today. There's no real timeline for a Brock Purdy return. Here's what Lynch said.
I don't think I can give you, like a completely accurate and direct, because I think it's just like, when is he going to feel right to go play? And when are we going to make that decision? I can tell you, although he's not on the practice field, he's out here working. He's doing a lot of things, trying to build up the strength and get that thing in a good spot. So I think he'll continue to do that. And when he's ready, he'll be ready.
That is not encouraging to me.
Yeah, it's basically, it'll happen sometime. And right. When it happens, it will have happened.
Right. And I think it also is contingent upon Mac and his health and his play, quite frankly. On that, here's John Lynch on Mac Jones.
I think we feel pretty good about where he's going to be at. If you saw him play real life stuff, you saw it, and you saw toughness and grit, and you saw guys stepping up and playing through some things. But I think Mac's in good shape. Who continue to work to it by Sunday. We're hopeful and believe that he's going to be in a good spot.
So he's going to be in a good spot, Johnny. That to me says he's not in a good spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they are the walking wounded still. And when you have Connor Colby giving up like 10% pressure rates, that's rough. I mean, I put it on X after the game when I watched the film. I mean, Connor Colby it's a problem right now. I said that before the Rams game, right? I said, he's getting to a point where he needs a break. I may have said that on my show. I don't know. I've said so many things.
I think you said it with us.
Yeah. And when I watched the Rams game, it was very much the same thing. Teams are game planning at him. They're running. If a team's going to run a stunt, it's going to be to Colby's side. Like, that's just the reality of what it is right now, because they know the 49ers want to help Colton McKivitz with a tight end or running back to Chip. They want to leave Trent Williams on an island. But when you do that, Connor Colby's got to be over there and be aware of stunts and twists, or else there's no point in leaving Trent on an island. And so it's a problem right now, and it's a problem in the run game. And Mac took, I want to say, 5 or 6 hits from blown blocks by Colby. We don't have an endless supply of quarterbacks, and we're already starting to churn through them. I do think that the willingness not to rush Brock Purdy back, it kind of reminds me of, gosh, he's going to pull back, but 2020 with Jimmy when he had the high ankle sprain, and Nick Mullins went out there. It was okay for week 1, especially the end of that Jets game. And then I want to say this is when he came in, right? Or was it the next week? It was the Giants game. Jimmy got hurt against the Jets, and then they went and played the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. And Nick Mullins did all right, and then went out against the Eagles and threw the game away. Nick Mullins did, and it was a terrible performance. And then they rushed Jimmy back, and he threw 3 picks in the first half against the Dolphins, right? And they were showing it on the broadcast. He was picking his back foot up when he was throwing because he wouldn't put any weight on that high ankle sprain. And it was horrible. That was also the game they had. I think it was Jonathan Allen, right? Is the corner who got picked on. The guy we'd never heard of was elevated from the practice squad to start.
Oh, that was
it was a horrible game, right? But they rushed Jimmy back because it had been so bad the week before with Nick Mullins, and he just gave the game away. I think this is the opposite of that situation right now. They feel like they don't have to rush Brock back because Mac Jones is there. And if you need an extra week for Brock to get healthy and you kind of got to feed Mac Jones to the Lions, I think you're okay with that. We're not playing the Lions. So I don't want people to get confused on that. But
right.
I think that's kind of where they're at, is like, if you're going to play a quarterback that's not 100% healthy and you got Connor Colby up there and you're looking at how do we get through the remaining 10 games after this, it's going to be Mac Jones they're going to put out there this week.
God help us all. Mac Jones, probably no Ricky Pearsall, probably no Juwan Jennings. It's going to be Kendrick Bourne and the backup singers again. We'll see if Mac can get it done. I know Tampa has some injuries as well, but we'll have to wait and see on Sunday what happens. We're going to get to the film breakdown of the pass rush in 1 second. But before we do, just want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Thank you so much, Sleeper, for coming on board with us this season. It is the perfect time for you to hop on board with Sleeper. And if you do, and you listen to our picks, which, by the way, have hit 75% of the time this year, you can win some real money. In fact, you can win up to 1,000 times payout with Sleeper. All you got to do is pick stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more. And you could win real money if your picks are correct. And like I said, ours are most of the time. And for a limited time only, there's a new offer from Sleeper. New users will get a free $20 entry. So if you haven't hopped on board yet, now is the perfect time. And don't forget to use our promo code GSP, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, Johnny, let's dive into the film. We've been talking about the pass rush. We can all see it when we watch the game. They are not getting a ton of pressure on quarterbacks. When you dive into the pass rush and you're in the lab and you're watching this, the all 22, what are you seeing?
Well, we're going to break this down into 3 different places. I went through this morning and rewatched all of Matt Stafford's dropbacks and looked at the pass rush. And there's 3 things that really stand out in that. One is Matt Stafford's a really good quarterback, and Sean McVay is a really good play caller. We have to keep those things in mind with this. Now, I get it. It's the NFL. You don't just get to say, well, the other team is really good, and that's why we weren't as good. But things do have to be put in perspective. You kept the Rams to 23 points. They have an incredibly gifted quarterback. And Sean McVay does a lot of things. There's a reason that he was considered like 1B as far as play callers. He does things that help his quarterback stay upright. And they do like to throw the ball around, and they've gone more under center. They've gone more play action. So there's a lot of play action. There's a lot of double chipping. So chipping with tight ends, chipping with running backs, and they have some very talented receivers. It is hard when teams are doing that. You can say, well, they're only having 3 guys in the pattern. We have 7 guys in coverage. We should still be able to cover that. That is hard when you got Tutu Atwell who can fly. That's hard when you got Puka. With that, you got Puka Nacua, who always takes 2 guys with eyes on him, and then you got Devontae Adams. That is a tough trio to cover, even with 7 guys and you're in zone coverage. And then you say, man, well, now you're just manned up and you don't have the advantage of 7 men in coverage. So, this was a cat and mouse game between Saleh and McVay. And so you're going to see some of that. You're going to see some of it is we weren't as tight in coverage. Some of it was that there's just moments where there should have been nowhere to go with Stafford to go with the ball, but there's coverage breakdowns. And that's not always on the defensive line. It's kind of like Chris Forster talking about the run game last year. He's like, it's not all on the offensive line. Tight ends got to do things. Running backs got to do things. Running backs got to set the run up and hit the right hole. And for the run game to pop. Same thing with the pass rush. The coverage has to hold up. They have to sit in the right spots and be able to give the passers time to get home. And then the last one is that you just have a lot of injuries are piling up and you have people playing in positions that they don't have practice on. So you're going to see a lot of that. So we'll go through this each step by step, and I can show multiple examples of a lot of these different things. I've kind of tried to stick to about 4 or 5 of each one, but these really encapsulate about 98% of the pass rushes that we're going to see. So here, this is our classic NASCAR package, okay? That, again, is not our full-strength NASCAR package. So you have this is Sam O instead of Nick Bosa out on the side. Yetur Gross-Matos is playing inside. Fred's walked up over the center. You have Mykel Williams playing from the inside and Bryce Huff playing from the outside. So this is the group, other than Sam O, has been practicing this package all season long and into the offseason. So we have to also keep that in mind. This is a team coming off of losing Nick Bosa. This is a play where you actually get a decent rush. Yetur Gross-Matos is going to beat his guard, and then Bryce Huff is going to win off of the edge. You would like it to happen a little bit faster, but it's still there. Remember, this is at half speed. So you got Gross-Matos is coming in. He's going to win. You got Bryce Huff is one off the edge. You've got a clear path for pressure here. Stafford is going to lay this ball out, and this is one of the best throws and catches you're going to see. They were in man coverage, and that's one where it's hard when you look at this and say, okay, pass rush let this one down. I mean, you're in coverage. That's an incredible throw and catch. And you say, okay, hats off to the Rams. That's how I always look at that. Like, that is a play that's rough. Siegel's got to be a little bit better in coverage there, but I mean, he got mossed by Terrence Ferguson.
He had his hand in between Ferguson's hands the entire time, and Ferguson still caught it.
Yeah, Terrence Ferguson was a guy when I came away from the Senior Bowl. I was like, I hope that we draft him as our tight end too. That's how I came away from the Senior Bowl, but it didn't happen. I'm not playing hindsight here, but then we get another one. This is another one where it's an unreal throw and catch. There's going to be a bungled snap here, so you're going to see this. I'll play it at full speed. You watch Fred. He's going to actually turn to the refs and say, why wasn't this false start? They're trying to do a no count. So the guard's going to turn. He's not even going to tap the center, and they're wanting to snap it. So you're going to see the left tackle, left guard, and right guard all move before the center even snaps the ball. And so there's an issue there where, they all move. And you can see Fred, he's saying, what's going on? But with this, you're going to see Sam O, because the right tackle missed the snap. Sam O is going to win around the edge, and then Alfred Collins is going to win up the middle. This is where Stafford steps up, then he throws while getting hit, and he's going to layer this ball right over the arm of D. Winters. I mean, you'll see it from the end zone real clear. I look at this and I go, okay, you got a good pass rush there, but dadgummit, this is Stafford and these guys. I mean, that's tough. It's hard for me to say that's a pass rush issue. We went off the edge. We ran through here. He's forced off of his landmark. He's hit when he throws. That's ridiculous.
And I see what you're saying, but also, like, if what I'm going to see here is a bunch of close but no cigar, I feel that's the world we lived in last year. Like, right. You bring in Robert Saleh so that we can use the scheme to make up for the fact that we don't have some people. So I really hope that we get better.
Yeah, so this is about a third of it. I only show this because I think the perception was we got zero rush. And when I watched the film, I saw a lot of this. I'm like, there's pressures there. Some of this is needing to be either better in coverage or tighter in coverage. Some of it is you're playing against a really good team. Now, in the scheme of that, they were still able to keep the Rams at 23 points. So here you're going to see they bring the running back in, and you can see Fred start communicate, right? He's starting to communicate. He's showing 5, 5, 5. There's a 5. You're going to see Pinnock signaling 5. You're going to see Siegel 5. Okay, they're trying to communicate this across the board to everybody. They're switching up the coverage. Now they're switching to a man coverage here. So what should be happening here is we should be manning up everywhere. Now there's a bust here. Either Fred misses this one, and I think it's actually on Fred, which is a little not normal because of the way the formation is, but we leave the tight end uncovered. Both Fred and D Winters take the running back. But in this, they were in a zone, and Renardo Green drops into a zone, does a zone drop here. And so this is another one. We get a rush. I mean, we've won right up the middle, but we've completely busted on Puka Nacua. Renardo Green's dropping in a zone. He should be in man on this. We've busted on the tight end. Both these guys are covering the running back because we didn't get the communication through. There's a miscommunication here, and they get an explosive. And you can see this afterwards. And you can watch these guys right here. You're going to see Siegel and Pinnock turn to Renardo Green, and they're going that we communicated this. And here's Siegel or Pinnock 5. We communicated this. So that's just another,
oops
indicator. Yeah. And so you get a pass rush win, but you have a bust in coverage because you can't communicate everything across the board. So, I mean, that Yetur Gross-Matos, that's a win. I mean, that should be a sack. You get things covered. That's tough. We're going to see another one here where we're going to bring a blitz and we're going to get a free rusher off the edge. And the Rams are running a play. They beat D Winters 3 times with this play. This is exact same play. It's a choice concept. So you're running a corner route with Devontae, and then you're running a choice route with Kyron Williams. D Winters gave up a touchdown on this play, gave up the 4th down right before the end of the game that allowed the Rams to get into field goal range. And then this is a 3rd down. So they're running the same play. You're in man coverage with D Winters on Kyron Williams. You're in man coverage with Renardo on Devontae Adams. And so we bring a blitz. We're getting Jair Brown, free runner at Matthew Stafford. D Winters is trying to work over this, and they're going to run this choice underneath. And it's right there, just an easy pitch and catch for them. But you've got a free runner. You'll see it from the end zone. Here we go. I mean, that's as free runner as you get. Got to hold up in coverage there. So there's a coverage bust. Here's one, again, got to be a little bit better in coverage, but you force an incompletion. I don't love how they work this one. Part of this is now you're seeing CJ West is out there. Hadn't practiced a whole lot. Missed some time during training camp. Has not practiced a lot of these stunts and everything. And this was one thing we talked about when we did his college tape. He's got to be better about this. I'd like to see him run this stunt and grab the outside arm of this guard and pull him down so you get Mykel Williams free on this. They don't do that. They're both trying to win. They do this kind of stunt. They get pressure right in Stafford's face. It should be a pick. I mean, Siegel's right there. Got to come down with that. It's hard. It's frustrating in every way. And so I get it. But that's part of the reason. It's not all the reason. I'm not saying it's all the reason.
Well, but we talk about the 49ers haven't gotten any interceptions. Well, yeah, because if you're not getting a ton of pressure for whatever reason, quarterbacks generally don't just drop back and throw the ball to defenders. Pressure leads to interceptions. If you want to know why the 49ers haven't gotten a ton of picks, it's because if they're not getting them pressure, the chances of that are you need a tip or you need a mistake somewhere most of the time. So it's all related. And what you're kind of showing me is it's not just a matter of, well, the 4 guys can't beat their man and get home. It's a matter of coverage. It's a matter of linebackers not doing what they're supposed to do. It's a matter of communication. It's all these things that go into the stew.
Yeah, all of it has to happen. Some guys got to be better in their one-on-ones. Sometimes Saleh's got to be better in his calls. Sometimes it's guys have to be ready to take advantage, because when you're playing a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, he's going to give you a couple. You need to be locked in for when those moments are going to happen. Yes, there's going to be 80 plays where it won't, but there's going to be 2 plays where it is, and you have got to make them count. Like when you're playing a team like this, that's why the margin of error gets so much smaller. You've got to take advantage when you get the opportunities, because they're going to do their darndest to make sure that you have as few as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where part of growth as young players, understanding every play could be the one, and you've got to be locked in for it. Same with wide receivers. This is the way the NFL goes. You have very few opportunities for these when you're playing against really good players. You've got to take advantage. So here's another thing that they did, and this is Sean McVay doing an incredible job of helping his team out with this. They use so many tight end chips on these. So, and they were so together on how they're going to run play action. They're going to keep the tight end to chip. So they get a double team initially on Sam O. They're going to get a double team initially on CJ West. They force, because of the way that the play action is running, the single sides to end up having to respect run lanes first, slow them down. So they're the one-on-ones they're living with, they're play actioning to their side to force the defensive lineman to first play run and then try and transition to a pass rush. And that is really good design by Sean McVay. That's a good job of working it and keeping it in. And so, you get some pressure here from Mykel Williams, and Upton Stout does a good job gaining depth on this. So this throw is going to end up off the mark because he's going to have to try and throw it outside of the window of Upton Stout. So you get an incomplete pass. So this is a situation we did well against what they were trying to do. They did this so many times in the game. I saw tight ends staying in chip and release, running backs chip and release so many times. And so there's so often you're going to get these plays that they just buy more time. So we're going to see it here. They're going to chip. They have a tight end. They're going to chip on this, and then they're going to try and take a deep shot with Tutu Atwell. So they're going to run him on a deep post here. Diamador Lenore does a really good job on this. So there's the run action fake. They've got leverage on Jason Pinnock. Okay, Marquis Siegel got absolutely flamed from this game for giving up these routes.
Yep.
What happens here is Renardo Green does a really good job of handing off his man, and then he's going to climb and pick up the trash. I think D'Amico Ryans is saying for this, when it's on the hash, is climb the hash and pick up the trash. That they want these guys to climb and pick up crossers, because you don't want to put these safeties in a position where they have to be willing to give up the deep to their side to try to cover these deep crossers. We need to have help from the other side of the field. And here Diamador Lenore is going to bail and pick it up. And you can see that's where Stafford wants to go. Stafford wants to go there, but we've got Renardo Green underneath it. Over the top is Pinnock. This is going to be a tight window throw. It doesn't look like it right now because it looks like he's wide freaking open, but this is the margins of the NFL when you have a guy coming in from behind. So Stafford's going to hold it. And so this is coverage helping out your pass rush. So now Stafford has to throw it away. That is a situation where the coverage is holding up. And we're okay with plays like this because this is where they're going to chip with Puka Nacua. Okay, so you're getting double. And then again, play action to this side. He's got to respect run first and then try and rush. So this is a really good design by Sean McVay. I mean, and so the coverage holds up though. So now you can start getting pressure and he's got to throw it out. Okay.
Man, I feel like they would not have gone with some of these if Bosa was still in the lineup. Like they would not do some of this.
Right. And that's the benefit of a very special player like Nick Bosa, who can play run and then walk that left tackle right into Stafford's lap. So now we're going to get the deep shot that is completed to Tutu Atwell. So we have Marquis Siegel. It's over here. They're going to run the same thing, but what they're going to do is they're going to end up having this tight end into chip. He's going to chip and then go out. They're going to run Devontae Adams. It's called a read route. So if Diamador Lenore squats, he's just going to keep running. And so it's kind of like a clear out. They can also take the shot and then they can throw the deep over. If Lenore sits on top, he's going to sit down at 18 yards. So where we saw earlier, right, they ran this deep over, a high crosser to field post maybe to Tutu, and Diamador Lenore retreated, climbed, and picked it up, and they moved on. Well, now you're going to see, okay, now Devontae sits. Lenore's going to sit. And now you get this going. And this is also Saleh getting burned here. We'll see it from the end zone, but we drop Alfred Collins into coverage. So not only that, you're having the chips and you're having only a three-man rush.
Now, does Lenore have to sit on that route, or
he should climb? What should happen is Jason Pinnock should be a little bit more when he because he's supposed to be picking up any intermediate crossers. And so when that doesn't happen, he needs to work back outside and sit under this route, and Lenore's got to climb.
I'm seeing that there's an echo for you, John.
Yeah, I'm hearing it in my headphones too. I'm gonna hop out real quick and hop back in.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is there. We'll get it worked out. Johnny will hop back in a minute. But I think what we've seen is it's never just one thing, right? Like it's incredibly frustrating because it's never just, well, the four guys in the defensive line are not beating the tackles. They're not good enough, or the coverage isn't good enough. That's why things don't get fixed generally, because it's never just one thing. It's always a multitude of things. And so that is why we see these things pop up time and time again, because if it was just one thing, you'd be able to fix it. We're good at fixing one thing. The problem is it's many different things at different times, and that's where the trouble is, and that's where some of the inconsistencies come in. Thank you for hopping back in, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. So here again, you're going to see chip. So you've double teamed your edges. Now you have basically 3-on-1, inside. You're not going to get a pass rush with this. Double team. He's been chipped and now he's rushing. Coverage has got to hang up better. I mean, or Saleh's got to have a better call. Like, that's part of it. Saleh got beat there. And it's okay to say Saleh got beat on that one. He probably went to his team and said, guys, that's on me. McVay dialed it up right at the right time. And then you're going to see again, they're going to chip on the outside, hold this in. And this is just this coverage is not tight enough. CJ West is winning inside on the side they didn't chip to, but D Winters, you've got to gain more depth on this. Siegel, you can't retreat so far. So you have an issue where Siegel's gaining too much depth. D Winters isn't gaining enough depth. And I mean, this is just too easy. That is not tight enough coverage. When you have Devontae Adams with nobody within 7 yards of him, it's hard for me to say, well, pass rush really wasn't there. That's just poor coverage. You've to get these pressures and get the sacks, you have to have a marriage of good pass rush and good coverage. D Winters, I mean, my issue is there's nothing keeping D Winters shallow.
Right. Why is he? Like, there's nothing there.
There's nothing here. The closest is out in the flat. But again, D, we've seen you retreat. You've got another guy out there. You're going to be able to rally, gain some depth. Look at where Fred is. He's got to gain depth. If he drops 5 yards deeper, Stafford cannot go here.
And he probably does go to the flat.
Yeah, and then you rally and you make this tackle. That's what we've been so good at. But you can't give up that kind of a hole in coverage. And it's hard because as fans, we see D Winters to start out really strong, and then all of a sudden it becomes, well, they can do no wrong. They still can. Right. Here, there's also CJ West gets help. I mean, there's
no
doubt about that.
Yeah, he does.
So it's another one of those where so when I say I saw more pass rush on the film than it seemed like, I'm not saying that we can't be better at pass rush. I'm just looking at it saying, it's hard for me to look at that and say the issues are only with the defensive line. There are other things. Now they do have issues. So we're going to get to that. And again, some of this is other things. So we're going to come with a blitz here. This is one you're going to see. This is the only sack we got in the game. They're going to end up, you can see Fred's communicating it when they bring the running back in. And here we come with the blitz. And hey, we get home. Look at us go. Let's go. Well, so what do? You try and bring it again. So running back's in. We're going to bring the same blitz. Well, problem is LA went to the sideline. They said, we're going to put Kyron Williams out here. And somewhere in here, either Pinnock has got to go pick him up Mykel Williams has got to peel and pick him up. D. Winters has got to, I don't know exactly what their call was here for this. One of those three guys has to peel off and pick up Kyren Williams because nobody does. That is a bust if you've ever seen. We got two guys running free at Matthew Stafford. We should only have one. And somebody should be covering him out in the flat. And
he walks
that's just really annoying. And it happened later, but Kyren Williams dropped it. And that one was on Sam O. You could see Fred turn around and yell at Sam O on that one.
Massive drop, by the way, because it ended up costing them 3 points because they missed the field goal after he dropped it. But on that play, you could tell Stafford he's looking at Kyren the whole time. Like, he knows that's exactly where he wants to go. He knows they're coming with this blitz. He's just waiting. He's like, all right, wait till he clears, and then we're good, and this is a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, somebody covers him, that's a sack. You're getting another sack. So, and that's why then if you're Saleh, you look at that and you go, can I trust my guys to run this again? Like, can I do that? So now you're limited in some of your pressure packages. And you say, okay, this is going to be the same play we saw earlier. This is now at the beginning of overtime. They're going to run this read route. They're going to run this over route with Tutu Atwell. And what do? They're going to keep a chip in on this side. They keep a chip in on this side. They're going to buy that extra time. I mean, so essentially you have 7 men working on 4, and then they release out. But now you have 3 against your deep coverage, and they get you. So again, this is the same thing. Jason Pinnock needs to be alert to this as a half-field safety and pick up this trash as it's coming across the field. And he doesn't. We got to gain more depth here with D. Winters to take that read route away. Again, there's nobody influencing you. You should be able to gain depth. This is a huge play in this game. And so, again, we like to bag on Marquise Siegel for this. That is tough work. He's even, but that's Tutu Atwell. That is tough. And this is a ridiculous throw by Matthew Stafford. We'll see it from the end zone. Okay, I just want to point out, everybody, again, you are going against Matthew Stafford. He's throwing this from the 31-yard line. This is going to go down to the opposite 20. That is a 59-yard air yards throw. So understand the kind of throw this is. And when you see it from the end zone, you'll understand. Like, I had somebody, beat reporter I will not name, tell me, well, it's because he had 4 seconds in the pocket. I don't care what quarterbacks have 4 seconds in the pocket. Very few quarterbacks are rolling to their left, making a 59-yard air yard throw across their body back the opposite direction and landing it in a 5-yard landing zone along the sideline. That's ridiculous.
And first of all, I believe that Stafford knows before he even spins that that's where he's going with the ball. He only does that to buy a little extra time, and he doesn't even really set his feet.
He's reading Jason Pinnock. That's where the read is. He's not reading Marquise Siegel. He's reading, if this squats, I'm throwing the over. Mm-hmm. So, again, people want to put this on Marquise Siegel. Now, we actually do an okay job. Again, this is Jordan Elliott that is in here in your pass rush packages. He is your fourth NASCAR package guy. He did not get reps on this during the offseason because he was hurt. And now, I mean, this is not a good work on a stunt. They're getting the chip. They're getting the chip over here. Your coverage has to hold up better. That's just the facts. Like, you've got to sink. You've got to sink and force him to not be able to roll out and make this throw because he knows it's open. I mean, that's part of it. So, you force him off his spot. You force him to roll to his left and throw to his right. That's just insane. That throw is insane. I mean, it is just insane.
Here's a question from John G, who says, do you think the return of Malik Mustafa will help with some of these coverage mistakes?
No. I'm not initially. I mean, I just mean that to put things in context. Malik Mustafa has no offseason in Saleh's defense. Mm-hmm. He has never played in Robert Saleh's defense. He is a sophomore guy. He has no mini camp, no OTAs, no training camp, no first month of the season practices. Are we expecting him to come in and be able to understand and communicate everything, all the nuances of Robert Saleh's defense, which is new to him, in 5 days? No, I like those sorts of things have got to be worked on collectively. This one is just on these two guys. We got CJ West and Mykel Williams. You got two rookies. This is kind of hilarious if it wasn't so important. Their footwork is beautiful. They're just both trying to do the exact same thing, and one of them's wrong. So they're trying to work a game here. So what Fred's going to do is he's going to attack the shoulder of the center and pull him away. And then so what CJ West is supposed to do is attack the outside shoulder of this guard and pull him away and set this up for a loop with Mykel Williams. CJ West thinks he's the looper. And so his footwork is literally in concert with Mykel Williams. Watch their feet together on this. They have their first steps are identical. Our movement's identical. Great job, CJ, on the execution of your stunt footwork. But you're supposed to be pushing this guy up, and Mykel Williams is supposed to be coming inside. But again, you have a guy who has not taken any reps in that spot trying to do it, and you completely bust your pass rush. And so, I mean, keep Stafford in the pocket because Bryce Huff won. So execute your stunt right over there, and you probably have a sack because this guy wins. You need to execute this correctly.
Well, and not only that, but CJ West, just, for future reference, you're not the one we're trying to spring on these things. Like, just assume that Mykel Williams, the first-round draft pick, is the guy that we're actually trying to get free.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a compounding issues. I mean, because Bryce Huff is probably sitting there going, this is third down in overtime, right? It's a miracle. It's by Sean McVay going to the well again on a play that he'd ran earlier that we pull away or we pull it out. And you can see these two guys afterwards. Excuse me, that was Samo, not Mykel Williams. That you can see him, like, Samo turns to him and is like, bro, what were you thinking? Why'd you think that was for you? All right. You can see his little arm. He's saying, that was me, bro. And he's frustrated.
I like this, though, is because we assume that because they're winning these games that, like, oh, yeah, we're executing everything perfectly. Like, no. And they always say afterwards, oh, we got a lot to clean up. But it's like, yeah, you actually do. Like, there are ways and things that you can be better at. And we always talk about, right, living with the brain farts and the rookie mistakes and how we have to just sort of survive that and hopefully be better at the end of the year. That's what we're talking about. The stuff you just showed there is the stuff that they are going to screw up early in the year that hopefully as the weeks go on, because they have screwed it up, they will fix it.
Yeah. And I put it on X and sometimes and I do really appreciate this venue to show that, because I put it on there. I said, this defense has a much higher ceiling. Like, when you see the almost cavalcade of mistakes they make and that they're still performing at a high level, that just tells you this can be one of the top 3 units in the league, but they've got a lot to clean up. They still have a lot of growth. I mean, D Winters is in his first year as a full-time starter. There's going to be mistakes and things he's cleaning up. Mykel Williams is a rookie. CJ West is a rookie. Alfred Collins is a rookie. Marquise Siegel is a rookie. Jason Pinnock, this is his first year starting at safety in Saleh's defense. Malik Mustafa is going to come back. There's going to be these growth pains, but as they get to gel, and the big thing though is that they've got to stay healthy with the same group playing out there for more than 1 week at a time. Yeah. And that is absolutely killing them. But the potential is, it's almost frustrating because you go, this could be a unit that holds every team they play to 13 points, but they're not doing it right now. And you do that, then yes, this could be really exciting. And you do that, then the prospect of going and trading for somebody, you don't have to necessarily go trade for a Trey Hendrickson or a Max Crosby. You just need a little bit more help.
Well, and in that vein, because John Lynch was also on the radio today, and he flat out said, which, by the way, this isn't like breaking news, but he said it. He's working the phones. They're looking for pass rushers. Like, he is trying. We've seen some trades already happen so far. Do you have anyone in mind that maybe you're like, maybe we should go get this guy might be able to make a difference for us?
I absolutely do. And I've seen a lot of people talking about Trey Hendrickson. And when Shanahan echoed the same thing, and I've tried to reinforce it, because people argue with me, like, I'm saying this is why, like, I'm Kyle Shanahan. And I'm trying to tell everybody, like, no, I'm trying to look at it. Who do I think they could go get by their roster construction strategy this year and by the way that they're looking their outlook for 2026 and 2027? Because what did Kyle say? He goes, I'm not just going to look for a guy that can help us just this year, but hurt us in 2026 and 2027. Trey Hendrickson, one of the Bengals, and I've been telling people this. People are like, well, the Bengals are cooked. They need to trade Trey Hendrickson. I'm like, that's not the Bengals' approach. And everybody's like, well, they're cooked. Okay, that's fine for you to say that they're cooked, but but Zach Taylor's not going to approach this season as if they're already cooked. Their GM's not going to do it, right? Like they're trying to just survive until Joe Burrow gets back. Because when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you believe if I just get into the dance, anything can happen. And so they're trying to survive that. They're only one game out of first place in their division. I mean, just again, imagine last year when we were one game out of the division, everybody's saying we should trade Nick Bosa. And you're like, why? That makes no sense. Like, and well, because you have lots of injuries and your team's clearly cooked. You go, why? So it's people saying, well, the Bengals are going to accept trade on him. No, they're not. It's going to take a second and then some, I think. I know Daniel Jeremiah said he thinks it would be a third and maybe a conditional. I think it's going to take a second and a conditional to go get Trey Hendrickson. Because if you're the Bengals, you're saying if you trade Trey Hendrickson, then you are saying the season is cooked. And therefore, if the owner looks at you and you're one game out of the division and you throw in the towel, the owners should clear house. I mean, that is absolutely what you never want to see from your staff. So it's going to take a second and a conditional. I think that would probably be a fourth. And plus you have to pay Trey Hendrickson about $11 million left on this year. So you're going to incur $11 million more in cap, and you have to lose picks for the future. To put it in perspective, second round picks the last 2 years, Alfred Collins and Renardo Green. Are you willing to give up a player of that caliber for 4 years on a rookie contract to go get Trey Hendrickson for this year? That's what they're talking about. Like, yes, we could go get a guy, but what is it going to cost us down the road? For a guy that you're probably not going to re-sign at the end of the year. And you're also saying, what happens if we have 4 guys hit a rookie wall at the end of November? And we traded for somebody to go all in, and now we've got guys hitting a rookie wall, and our defense is giving up 28 points a game. That's why they say we want to take it one game at a time.
So who are the actual targets then, if not Trey Hendrickson?
So for me, Bradley Chubb. That guy makes a ton of sense. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Yes, thank you, King Jedi 49, because the NFL will quickly demonetize this video. So this is the demonetization station. So thank you very much for the super chat.
So for me, it's absolutely Bradley Chubb. The Dolphins are in fire sale mode. They are cooked. The only win they have on the year is over the only team that has a worse record than them, and that is the Jets. I mean, they have a horrible cap situation next year because Tyreek Hill is on IR probably for this season and next year.
Yeah.
And so if I were them, what I would do is, because they have some cap issues this year and into next year, I would immediately, if it's allowed with the NFL, I think they can do a waiver on it of try and turn all of Tyreek Hill's base salary this year into signing bonus, because they can't get out of that base salary this year anyways, and prorate it. That will help them over the long run, clear some salary cap issues. Bradley Chubb is owed $38 million in base salary in 2026 and 2027. This is non-guaranteed base salary. So trading him clears $38 million off of their cap in 2026 and 2027. 2026, they are strapped for cash right now. Right now, they're less than 1.5 under the cap. So trading Bradley Chubb gives them another 1.3 this year that gets to roll over into next year. It clears $38 million for 2026 and 2027. He's a 29-year-old player. They are headed for a rebuild. They're headed for a reset. A 30-year-old player making over almost $20 million base salary is not in your plans for 2026 with where they are. They've got to reset their roster. So he is going to be a cap casualty next season, regardless of what happens. And so I'm looking at it. They can either let him walk, release him and let him walk, or they can trade him and get a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick. I think the Debo trade makes sense because that's the same sort of deal that we did sending Debo off. A player that was no longer fitting into the future plans, that was going to clear. It wasn't necessarily going to clear a lot of cap space this year, but it would clear a ton of base salary off of the future cap. And then you get a pick on the back end of it. That makes sense for me. Bradley Chubb has 4 sacks on the year. You can go get Bradley Chubb. I think he's available. I think he makes sense for both teams, and he brings you a little boost. He's not going to be a Trey Hendrickson, but he doesn't mortgage your future. He costs the 49ers $2.3 million this year. That's it, because he's got low base salary and per game roster bonuses. So that's how I see it. I think Bradley Chubb is the guy that makes the most sense out of anybody that everybody's talking about.
Can we get Mike McDaniel too in that deal? Could we just package them up together?
Not at his salary, not at his current salary.
But that is what the Niners are going to have to do. You're not, more than likely not going to get a Hendrickson, a big expensive guy. Yeah, is he more talented than Bradley Chubb? Absolutely. But there's other stuff that goes into that decision. It would be a very solid addition by the 49ers. It would be a legitimate pass rushing threat, which is like, sorry, Sam-O, I love you, but like you're not keeping anybody up at night. So that would be a nice add for the 49ers. I do expect them to inquire about that. I expect them to inquire with the Jets. I'm sure Saleh has a bunch of guys that he coached that he would love to bring over that are probably not going to cost you too much if you're the 49ers. I do believe John Lynch is going to make a move. I don't know that it's going to be a blockbuster home run thing, but I don't think he's going to just stand pat. I think he'll do something, like a Charles Omenihu type of move, something like that, where he'll do something, and we'll see how big the impact can be if it actually does happen.
And Arden Key is another guy to look at with Tennessee. He's there in Tennessee. I know it's been floated about Jeffrey Simmons. I don't see that because that's a lot of investment into defensive tackle when you just invested 2 picks this year in defensive tackle. You've got Jordan Elliott. Kalia Davis is already back at practice. You just got Kevin Givens back. So I don't see defensive tackle as their most pressing need at all. And Mykel Williams rushes from the inside. Arden Key makes more sense.
Can you just let's not gloss over that. Kalia Davis broke his thumb on Thursday, had surgery on Friday, and is back at practice with a cast on his hand. This is not normal human behavior, man. That is crazy. The NFL is a crazy place. It just, it's an example of something that we're just like, oh yeah, he's back. He's got a cast in his hand, and we've heard of it before, so we don't actually think about it. But that is an insane thing to say out loud. I do have a question for you, Johnny. Benali says, random question about the other line. Dan Orlovsky today said that Max benefited a bit from better offensive line play in his games. The pressure rate over expected for both quarterbacks supports that. Is it a protection scheme thing?
Sort of. It's again, and this is where, maybe it's hard because both Seattle and Jacksonville play very different defenses than the 3 teams that Mac has gone against. And so your approach does become different. Is the approach just different because it's Mac Jones and not Brock Purdy, or is the approach different because of the way that Jacksonville and Seattle play their defenses? I think there's a little bit of both there. One, clearly Kyle trusts Brock with more of the motions and some of the different option routes and stuff that's there. So he's putting a little bit more on Brock as far as from the processing and getting the ball out aspect, and willing to kind of lean into Brock's ability to make those layered throws, and which did end up in a few picks. And so with Mac, it was very much, let's get the ball out quick. We're not going to let Jared Verse line up over Connor Colby and let him go to town. But remember, LA was also down some of their corners, and they're a very Nick Saban, Belichick influenced defense. Okay. The way that Shula runs his defense is very much a Nick Saban kind of approach. It's always been that way in LA going back years and years and years. That puts a lot on the outside corners. So that's why you see a Kendrick Bourne getting a career day against their guys. And so there is just a different approach, partially because the defense you're playing. And I think some of that leans into that does help some of the O-line performance in in the end of it, though, the quarterbacks are getting hit way too much. So am I going to look at it and go, yeah, is it just though that Mac is getting better? Mac is not getting great offensive line play. He's getting hit a lot. I mean, we saw that. He got the crap kicked out of him. So I don't necessarily want to take away from Mac Jones' performance from that, because that was an incredibly gutsy performance to hang in there, make some of the throws he did under the staring down the barrel that he did, and keeping like peeling himself back off the turf to go back in that game, and eating 3 bananas and the electrolytes and all of that. Like, yes, there's some of that. I don't think it's as glaring as it is. And that shouldn't take away from how good Mac's performance was.
I think that Mac understands the assignment, right? Get the ball out of my hands, whether I'm throwing it away or throwing it to a receiver, get it out of my hands. I think Kyle doesn't have as many deeper shots in the plays. I think with Brock, one of the things I think Kyle likes about Brock is if he has a couple deep shots designed in these plays, Brock's not afraid to take them if they're there. I think with Mac, Kyle's thinking is like, I'm not even going to tempt him with as many. We're going to do mostly short stuff. We'll leave some in there because Mac does throw a good deep ball. And I will say he doesn't lack for confidence. Like, he's willing to chuck it down there. But I think Kyle is like, I really want to drill into him to get the ball out of his hands. And we'll see if they can keep it going this week, because the Bucs have a good run defense. I don't expect this to be the week the ground game bounces back. So gear up for another 40 passes from Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great run defense, and they have a completely depleted corner room. I think they're on their corners 4 and 5. And that means that when they're down there, Todd Bowles backs off on his ridiculous pressure packages. Remember last year when we played the Bucs, Todd Bowles blitzed Brock Purdy something like 55% of the time. And Brock was unreal in that game. Like, I remember coming away from that game, when we have questions about Brock, go back and watch the Bucs game from last year. He was beating pressures left and right. He had an incredible game. That was a game, he ended up floating that one down the right sideline to Christian McCaffrey as he's getting hit because there was a bust on the protection from the other side. Todd Bowles brought a blitz. I mean, it was just unreal. But it keeps him from being able to do that. If this is a game that you're going to say, let's get the running game back on track and not throw it around as much, this is not that game.
Nope.
Just watch what Sam Darnold did to that Buccaneers team. That's your plan. Like, go about your business like that, and you should come away with a win, hopefully. But you also have a 30-year team on the injury report.
Yeah, what else is new? We still got 2/3 left. That's going to be my rallying cry. Sure, a third of the team is gone. We got 66% left, but thank you, Johnny, for making us better, smarter fans. If you want more film breakdown, check out Johnny's YouTube channel. Just search Johnny Dale Football Academy. There's breakdowns on everything you could possibly want. Definitely, I'd stop there every single week, and you should too. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to both channels. What the hell? It's free. But please do. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats. Again, we do appreciate that because the NFL is going to take all this money otherwise. So at least now it's only one massive organization. Just Google taking most of the super chat instead of 2. But thank you. We do appreciate it. Really, your support is everything. Enjoy the game on Sunday, and we'll talk to you next week.